Alrighty, here's that. Boom. Man, the huge green candle. All right, give it just a couple minutes to let people filter in. Then we'll go ahead and start the video. Okay, we got that going. Let's get this up. Alrighty. So same thing as always. I will go through the teaching portion. Make sure that's straight. I'll go through the teaching portion, and then please save all Q&A until the end. I promise you, I will get to the Q&A. So just, you can type your questions if you want to, just so I can reference them later, or you can hold on to them until the end. The questions don't have to be about the topic. Today's topic is just setting up TradingView. So it doesn't have to be about the topic, but obviously could be. So if you have any questions outside of the topic, we can reference those as well. But I'll get through all the teaching part. We'll go through pretty much just how to make a chart like this look like this, and setting up TradingView to, be productive and not confusing, really. So I'm no expert in TradingView, and I'll say that in my intro, but I'll get it all set up how I have it set up. So go ahead and start here. What's going on, guys? It's Expo Jesse. Today we're going to be going over TradingView and how to set up TradingView during this edition of Teaching Tuesdays. Pretty much just making this chart end up looking like this. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So first thing is first, I do not like these grid lines. If I switch to a different chart like NQ1, it has grid lines pretty much every 25, 15 points, something like that. So first thing is I go into my settings, and in symbols or scales, sorry, we'll get down to somewhere in here. Why do I not know? Okay, well, this is already off to a bad start. We're going to redo that intro. Where is the grid lines? I'm just going to walk through this. All right. Sorry, we're redoing it. Got to get it all nice and pretty. What's going on, guys? It's Expo Jesse. Today on Teaching Tuesdays, we're going to go over TradingView and how to get a chart that looks like this to end up looking like this. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. So first things first, there's a bunch of different settings here that I don't like, one of them being the grid lines. And so I have a preset, and here on the bottom left, you'll see that you can save a ton of different presets. So for example, if I have Jay Will, he's a guy who trades with me, and he has a chart that makes you blind when you look at it. So I don't like using that one. I use the Expo one, and here's kind of my settings. I just have a blue background, no grid lines, 0%, I think. Yeah, 0% opacity. Same candle bodies. You can change these if you want to, make them, pink or purple or whatever you want. But that's kind of what I have my settings set to. So I'll go through each of these, and if you really want to, you can copy and have your chart look exactly like mine. This doesn't really matter. I don't trade on TradingView, but if you do trade on TradingView and you want to keep it hidden, or show certain things, like you want to show ticks instead of money, which is not a horrible idea at all, then you can change that there as well. But for as far as the chart, the background looking all pretty, that is what it'll look like. So the next thing we'll go over is the watch list. Here on the top, or here on the right side, there's a ton of different little gadgets here. You have your watch list details and news. So I have mine hidden down here, but you can look at, the technicals of what people are saying about NQ, or if, I switch this to Apple, it'll tell you, what's the dividends and income statements and what analysts think, if it's a strong sell, neutral buy, strong buy. And they'll go through there. I have this hidden. I don't really care that much about all that stuff. Maybe showing earnings and previous earnings, just for if you're a long-term investor, is a good idea. But other than that, if you're not looking at news or news releases, then I just have it hidden down there. Next one is alerts. I have a ton of different alerts. You can manage them. You can remove all inactive, which if they've been stopped or triggered, you can hit remove all inactive, yes, and then they'll all go to just the active ones. Next one's your object tree. Next one is your heat map, calendar. So this is a good idea if you're looking at news. You don't have to go to Forex Factory. I do. I end up going to Forex Factory pretty much every day. But this will show you red folder news, and I'm sure you can filter out, how heavy, if you want the orange folder news as well, and things of that nature. My ideas, chats, ideas, streams, notifications, I don't use any of those. So we'll go back to the watch list. I use that very frequently. What you can do is you can go here and make a copy of any list. You can add a section. So let's add a few symbols. Let's go Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, AMD, NVIDIA, and Disney. So here's 7 symbols. You can filter them to go A to Z in symbols. You can filter last, volume, and things of that nature. You can also add extended hours if you want to see that, or if you only want to see one thing, you can click these boxes. Like right now I have it just set to last, but I do look at the change in the volume as well. Logo is just kind of cool to look at, and other than that, it doesn't really, you can look at the name of it if you want to, but I use the ticker. You can rename this. So if I want to go Teaching Tuesday 1-9, can rename that. As you can see, I have a good amount of watch list here. My go-to is the one with my name on it, and I've added a couple sections like indices and futures. And what you can do is after you add the sections, then everything inside of that, you can just hit one button and close it. So if I don't want to see anything, I can keep it closed. But this is kind of the chart setup that I have here. So I have, let's go back here and delete this guy. Maybe not. Maybe I'll do that later. Oh, I just saw it. There it goes. So I have the indices, so SPY, Qs, Dow Jones, and the VIX. I have futures, ES, NQ, RTY, YM, RTY is Russell, YM is Dow. Then I have oil and gold, and then the Dixie. Then I have some forex. I don't really watch this as much right now. I'm trading mostly futures, but it's still good to have in my watch list here. Then I have ETFs, so things that I don't really watch all that much, but are still good to look at. The Mag 7, so if I want to get a good feel of the S&P, this is what I'll look like. And later on, when I show how to change tables and look at more than one chart inside of this big box here, I'll show you my Mag 7 box here too, and then just different charts at the bottom. So that's the watch list. You can hit advanced view and then share your watch list with other people if you want, or Google or Twitter or Facebook, and so on and so forth. So that is the watch list. We'll close that for now and head to the left side of the screen. Top is going to be your pointer. You can choose an arrow or a dot. I use a cross, and just kind of keeps, if I want to look at a certain price in a certain time, I can do that. So I don't use anything except for those. Next box, or next gadget here, trend lines and horizontal rays are all I use out of this. And if you see here, you can hit a star and that will favorite it. And then here at the bottom, you'll have a favorites bar. So these are the ones I mostly use day to day, and just keeps it from me having to look through all of these, because you can see there's a ton of different things. You can just play around with this and kind of see, I can put a smiley face here if I want to. And it just keeps it less cluttered, I think. So here's a fib. I just saw that real quick. Here's long position, short position, so on and so forth. So I use fibs, fib retracement. I don't use extension that much anymore. Might in the future, but right now I don't. Then, like I said, trend line, horizontal ray. Next section, I don't use any of this. I know Elliott wave theory folks will use this a lot more than I do, or harmonics traders as well. Long position, short position, fixed volume profile. So here's my fixed volume profile. You could take it from a range, and it'll show you where the point of control is. Next section is just a brush, a path, which is how I draw my arrows, and then a rectangle, which I do use a lot. And then here in the text, I use text and call out, and that's pretty much how I mark up my charts. And each of these have different functions. So like a long position, you can mess around with this top part. I don't trade on trading view, like I said, so I don't use it. But let's say that I want a 20 tick stop. I can do that. And that's a profit and a 20 tick stop. So it'll do 20 cents and 20 cents. Kind of an easy way to do that. So that covers the left side. Here at the top, you'll see the ticker. You'll see the ability to add or compare symbols. So if I want to compare ES to Apple, show how closely they're coordinated, I'll change my style here from a line to a candle. And a lot of this, honestly, is just time and practice with the chart in looking at it. So if I look at Apple, so what I did right there is I right-clicked. Then you have a ton of settings. You can add an alert. So if I want to set an alert here, when it is making a new low, I can do that. Hit add alert. You can send it to a webhook. You can email it to yourself. You can send an email to a text to yourself. You can notify in the app and write a message all in this box here. But mostly I use right click and then reset chart. So you can see ES compared to Apple moves very, very similarly, right? So that is what this plus button does. A lot of times what I'll do is if I'm looking like at this NQ chart and I want to see how Dixie's moving with it, because usually it moves inverse, then I will do that here. So change this to a candle and I can see, okay, I want to be long. Dixie's starting to go short. I like that. And then I'll go back to focusing on one thing. And that is that one there. Let's go back to this, close that. Top part, you have your time frames. You can hit this drop down arrow and favorite your favorite time frames. And then that way you're able to see just the ones that you care about. Like I don't look at the yearly chart very much, but I do look at the month, day, week, especially when I'm swing trading options. And then these are my go-tos. I've used the 3 and the 6 minute chart mostly to see if there's fair value gaps that I'm not seeing on my time frames are here, 1, 5, 15. And if I'm not seeing a fair value gap, but I saw that price rejected, then I'll look to the 3 or 6 minute and see, okay, maybe on these time frames it did have a fair value gap. And so those are the time frames up here. You can just right or left click and cycle through them real quick. Next one's going to be your candle bodies and the types. I use just the normal candles. Some people use hollow candles. Some people use bars or Heikin-Ashi or Renko. I do not. So that is that for me. Then here's the indicator section. So pretty important section to know. What you can do is you can search up any indicator that you want to. So if I want to look up exponential moving average, then I can do that. And then you can hit the favorite button here. And then it'll show up in your favorites next time that you're looking for it. And it goes like, where is it? Right there. So then I can left click and add an EMA to my chart. These are the ones I have. If you really want to copy every indicator that I have used or do use, some of these are, I think like this one's private. Bought this several years ago. It's a harmonics indicator. And if you don't know what that is, then don't worry about it. It gets complicated. But these are all the indicators that I use or have used in the past. Mostly what I chart on, I'll show you all that on when I go after this top bar here. So then these indicators, after you have a set, you can hit this little grid box here and save indicator template. And then hit save. And then if you go back to templates and hit the star, it'll show up right up here. So then I can look up Teaching Tuesdays, looks like that. E is my everyday chart, which has Expo Toolkit, Breakage Structure / Change of Character from Nephew Sam, 14 EMA, a VWAP, and the strat highs and lows. This is what I chart on and look at every single day. And that's a template. But if I want to go to a 4 EMA, I have that option. This is a 4 SMA daily chart, so it's not going to look very good on the 5-minute chart, but that's a daily chart. These are overnights, which is just more EMAs. These are Bollinger Bands by Paper Gains. This is Smart Money Indicators, Swing Trading, which is just usually more EMAs and Strat. Then that is Strat plus Bollinger Bands, and then 0 And I usually don't trade with volume, so I'm not sure why that is even on there, but we'll go there. And that is the top section. Nothing really to see on the bottom section. Bottom right, you can see your time zone. I'm in Eastern, so I go with New York. And that's that. This bottom left one by the time intervals is the calendar. So if you're back testing, or if you just want to see a different date like September 21st, then it will show you what day was September 21st. Right there. Boom. Alrighty, so let's make this box into more than one box. So you go up here on the right, you can save templates as well, or loadouts. Here's some more chart settings. You can take a picture up here. So if I want to copy an image, I can do that. Well, I can't post an image of TradingView on TradingView. You can copy a link or tweet it. Other than that, nothing big here, but this is going to be the big one. So that when you're setting up your chart, and let's say that you want to look at 2 time frames, you can go here to the 2, and some of these features will be premium, but we'll go as if you already have premium. So if I want to look at Apple on the daily and the weekly, I'll need to make sure that I have the same symbol, not the same interval. Crosshair doesn't matter, time doesn't matter, date range doesn't matter. And then you click on one side of the box, make it a day, click on the other, make it the week. Now it already did that for me. So let's say I want to make it the month, click on that box, make it the month, click on this box, make it the week. Let's say that you want to look at 4 boxes. In this one, you want to have the 15-minute time frame. You can also type on your keypad. And there I did 15. I just typed 15 and did 15 minute. I can type 1D and it'll change it to 1 day. I can type 1 week and change it to the week, and 1M changes it to 1 month. And so here I'm able to look at all 4 quadrants and see, okay, here's what the daily candle looks like here at the top right. The weekly, here's what it looks like. The monthly, here's what it looks like, so on and so forth. This is really good when you're looking, if you're trading strat and looking at higher time frame continuity, then it's good to look at that without having to divide your chart, or go from here at the bottom. You can also hit the maximize chart, but instead of you going like, okay, what's the hour look like? What's the day look like? Week, month, etc. So it's a lot easier. Now, obviously, you can get information overload if you go to something like a 16 buy channel, which apparently I don't even have access to, or maybe I do. I don't know. I didn't read that. But this can be information overload for sure if you're not careful. So I do the 8 buy is my max. Here's what I look at for my options. So I use mostly Bollinger Bands on my options, and then strat as well. So I'll have, this is the Mag 7, or most of the Mag 7 minus Google, and then ES and NQ. Here's my daily. I have it split into 3. I have the 1, 5, and 15 all set up, and then I have 2 other tabs. So in the TradingView app, this is all on the TradingView app. You can also use the website if you want to, but I use the app. In the app, if you right-click a tab, you can pair it with another tab, or group it. So here on NQ, I have a quadrant of all 4 of the features. So if I click on ES and change it on this to focus on ES, then these other 3 quadrants, or other 3 tabs, will also change to be focused on ES. It's really nice for when I'm looking at, I just want to see a 5-minute look, and then I'm like, okay, there's an inside bar set up on oil. Let me look at what it looks like on the 1 and the 15, and then let me look at what it looks like on the day, week, month. Really nice there. Other than that, here's my other chart with the kind of the alt options that I'll look at, but this is kind of my main, these 5 tabs are my main go-tos for sure. This is my forex one, 15 hour, 4 hour, and day. These are usually overnights, I think, where I look at the day and the week. Here's a new one I just set up, which is looking at ES and NQ at the same time to look at divergences. I actually used that a little bit today, just to see how, if NQ breaks out but ES is struggling, then I know to be a little bit more cautious. But if both of them are going in the same direction at the same time, I know that it's probably a high probability trade. Alrighty, and then here's there's another random one that I just have set up, and that should pretty much do it. So that is how I have TradingView set up. And yeah, thanks for coming out, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, recording stopped. Now I'll open it up to Q&A. Alrighty, no Q&A, no questions at all. Could be about trades from before, could be anything you want. Pretty extended here. Looks like a retrace could be in our future. David said Jesse with a colon. Can you go over an example of how you use Dixie with NQ? Sure. So let's go to this 6 by and switch the top one to be Dixie. So we know that, let's go over why Dixie is important to know. So the dollar is safe money, right? So when the market is scared, it runs to the dollar and it runs to commodities. When interest rates are high, or let's just say when the dollar is not as valuable but the market is still scared, it's going to run to gold, which is why gold's chart looks like this on the weekly. Kind of plateaued, but in 2019 it started skyrocketing, right? So we know that when money is scared, it goes to Dixie, the dollar, because the market's going risk off. When that is happening, and Q is a risk on asset and Dixie is a risk off asset. So when Dixie's going up, generally it means that we're risk off, at least during that time frame or that time period. And so when we're risk off on NASDAQ, it means we're selling, or we should be. So let's look at the 5-minute chart from yesterday. Let's do this. 5-minute chart from yesterday. 5. Oh, I was like, why do these look exactly the same? It's because they are exactly the same. All right, so here is Dixie on the 5. Monday. Gotta make this a little smaller. Trying to pair this up. Looks pretty close. So here's Monday, right? So Monday, 9 a.m. Well, even go back here. At 4:30 on Monday, NQ started its climb and Dixie started its descent. So NQ is going to start rising because now we're risk on. Market's not as scared anymore. Risk on. Dixie's losing value, and Dixie's going to be shorting. So here this morning we were looking at Dixie, and they were both going up at the same time, which is why I was looking short during this pump here. Now, Dixie has a nice little retrace here, and looks like it could be curling up, which could mean bad things for NQ longs. But generally, the TLDR is Dixie is a risk off asset, and NQ is a risk on asset, and money will filter from one to the other, but they should not be going the same way. Alrighty. Any other questions? Yeah, you bet. Great lesson. Thanks, Jesse. You bet. How long do you typically swing trade options? If it's meant to be a swing, it'll be a couple days. Could be a couple weeks. Depends on the time frame I'm looking at when I enter. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to shut it down. I will try to get this edited in the next couple days and then uploaded. And I think I just uploaded one. Didn't I? Yeah. How to follow market structure from 20 hours ago. So that is that. Alrighty. I will see you all here tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day. If you're going to keep trading, use stop losses. Don't blow your account one trade. That's silly. And I'll see y'all here tomorrow. Have a good one, guys.